Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay? Thank you so much for having me here, and it's just so wonderful. I have a daughter who plays volleyball and son who plays basketball, so I don't get to be in church as much as I like to, and so it's really wonderful to be here with you today. And starting with a hymn like "Welcome," that's such a wonderful thing, not only to welcome me, but that's what we really try to do at Emma Norton. We try to have our doors open to everyone and welcome everyone in that needs us. So I love the connection that we have between our faith partners and our mission as well. And I love your new logo. That's really beautiful. You can see Emma Norton. Our logo is really about an open door. We provide supportive housing for women and families that have experienced homelessness. And really, we want everyone to know that our door is open to them. And it's not just the residents that we serve, but also our volunteers and our partners in the community. You are welcome at our place, too. You can go to the next slide. So for those who don't know Emma Norton, I see a lot of friends and people that I know who do support Emma Norton. But if you don't know Emma Norton, we actually were founded by a woman named Emma Norton who founded Emma Norton in 1917, so over 100 years ago. And she really wanted to create a place where women and girls could come into the big city and live in community and access opportunities like jobs and go to school. And you fast forward to now, really homelessness became a much bigger deal for women and families in the 1990s. And that's when we really started focusing on ending homelessness. So currently we have 3 main programs: Emma Norton Residence, which is downtown in St. Paul, and we serve up to 50 women there. And then Emma's Place is in Maplewood. We have 13 townhomes for families with 3 or more children, so for large families that have experienced homelessness. And then we have our scattered site housing program, and that really came out of, we needed to serve more people, but we didn't necessarily have the ability to build something at that time. And so we created our scattered site housing, where we work with private landlords, and then we provide wraparound services for people living in the community as well. You can go to the next set. So we serve about 350 to 400 people a year. So this is what I really want to talk about. This is the promise of Restoring Waters. This is a new building that we're building. Our downtown site was built in the 1960s, and while it served, thousands of women over that time, it's really outlived its time. It was a kind of a dorm-style housing, much more institutional, and we know that the women and families that we serve, they need more from that. They need a place where they can heal and rest and recover from the trauma that they've experienced. And so Restoring Waters is a building that this project, I feel like we've been working on it forever, but really it's been about, kind of a 5-year journey that we've been on to get to this place. You can go to the next slide. So Restoring Waters is in the Highland Bridge neighborhood in St. Paul, where the old Ford plant was. It's going to have 60 units where everyone has their own apartment and their own kitchen. It's trauma-informed design, so that means everything from the colors that we've chosen, sort of curved walls, wayfinding to be able to find your way, to have areas to be in community or on your own if you want to be on your own if you need that. So all of that is built with sort of the idea of people have experienced incredible trauma and violence from the residents that we serve, so they need that kind of healing space. We have a rooftop deck, which is really wonderful, so they have a place to access nature and be outside. We're going to have an exercise room and all kinds of different programming spaces, art, cooking, gardening, so lots of ways to volunteer and come work with us. And go to the next slide. So it's really exciting. Our campaign was a $3.75 million campaign. And that really is to help build the building and also provide expanded programming and really to build for our future. You can go to the next slide. And yes, we're at 2.9 million, which is really incredible. So and a lot of that, I know you guys gave a special offering at Christmas time, and now you're looking at a special offering for Easter. So I love that we kind of, our bookends of both of these really important, things that happen in the church. And so you've been a big part of this, and our faith community at this point has raised over $600,000, and our goal is $1 million. So we're over halfway to that goal. We have about $850,000 left to raise. And go to the next slide. So this is really exciting. It's like the first time I came and presented, all we had were renderings. Now we have a building. So this is very exciting. My church is right across the river from here, and when we first started the project, I'd take my family by and I'd say, hey, look, that's where my new building is going to be, and it was just a big hole in the ground. And we went by the other day, and I was like, look, there's the new building. And they're like, where? Like they couldn't find it because they didn't realize that it was a real building now. And so it actually looks like the rendering, if you can see. See, there's a big, beautiful windows, so that light that comes in, we know that's healing. It's going to be right by the Mississippi River. The building is called Restoring Waters because we really wanted it to evoke that restoration of soul and spirit. And then we know water is very healing, and it's, of course, close to the Mississippi River. And then in our spiritual faith, water is often about rebirth and, really having that promise of God. So while we serve all people of faith, we love having that connection with our Methodist faith as well. And you can see that's the rooftop deck. And if you go to the next one, this is what the units look like. So they're actually called alcove units. So it's really an efficiency apartment, but because so many of the women we served have experienced sexual violence, we want to make sure that they can invite somebody into their apartment without inviting them into their bedroom. So that's part of that trauma-informed care as well. So there's going to be 56 efficiency or alcove units, and then 4 one-bedroom. So people will be at our current site. If you're pregnant or have children, you'd have to find a different place. Here, a woman could be pregnant and stay with her infant in the apartment for a while, or have some small children. So we're anticipating, 10 or so small children under the age of 5 in the building as well. Go to the next slide. So yeah, this just talks about different ways to get involved. You guys are already doing a special offering, so you're already ahead of the game. And then I don't know if everybody saw that Bishop Plambeck, but we met with her and said, how can we get to the end of this goal? We're sort of on this final push to our goal. And she had the idea of really looking at gifts of 1917 to honor our 1917 founding by a United Methodist woman named Emma Norton. And when I first started doing these talks, we needed over 500 of them to get to our goal. Now we're at 440, so people are really answering that call. So if you can give a gift of $19.17 or $191, or give that gift of $1,917, that really honors our history and this 100-year history we've had with the United Methodist community. Organize a fundraiser or come volunteer. So please, I will be out there afterwards, so please come talk to me. And there's all kinds of things from birthday bingo, gardening, front desk support that you can get involved with. If you look closely, you can see Ann Garris is in this photo. So she is our current board president. So I just want to really give a shout out to Ann, who's doing so much for Emma Norton. So she also is a good expert to ask if you have questions about. And I think in that picture, we were scrubbing walls and doing all kinds of hard work. So we don't always put our volunteers to that extent. But you could go to the next one. So I just want to share a story. I mean, we serve over 350 women a year. So this is just one of those stories. Everyone has a unique and really interesting story. And I loved your sermon about the idea of narratives, because so often times, I talk to people about, women or families who've experienced homelessness and have mental health or chemical dependency, and people have a certain narrative for them. They have so they must have screwed up somewhere in their life or something, they did something wrong. And so many of our clients do come in with this sort of self-hatred because they've gone through, so much trauma. And then they start to believe that narrative that they've done something wrong, or they're not worthy of help, or they're not worthy of that love. And Emma Norton, with really our foundation with faith, we're really trying to flip that narrative and say that, everyone deserves to have a home and a safe place to be. Everyone deserves to have that safety, and so many people that we serve have not had that safety in their lives. And so Dominique is just one example of that, but I talked to her about sort of what would it mean to be in a place like Restoring Waters for you. And she just talked about her journey with Emma Norton, that being at our current site, for the first time in her life, she was able to feel safe. That she had been a teen mom and been kicked out of her home at age 15. And then sort of went through this kind of, journey of just struggling and trying to take care of her kids, and ended up with some mental health and alcoholism. And she came to Emma Norton, and for the first time in her life, she felt safe, and she was able to access mental health care on a weekly basis and physical health care. She actually has a bullet in her back from violence that she experienced as a youth, and was able to finally get physical therapy for that. And so Dominique moved out of our current site and is in our scattered site program, so she has her own home. And when I talked to her about Restoring Waters and that everybody would have their own apartment, what she was most excited about was being able to cook for herself. When you're living on the streets and you're homeless, you don't have that ability to cook for yourself. So she's so excited, and I know so many of our residents are excited about being able to have that ability too. So thank you. Your donations help really change lives, really make a difference, and help change that narrative, not only for the community, but for the individuals themselves who see that people care about them and that they are worthy of that love. So thank you.